A falafel sandwich is one of the greatest street foods ever created. Cooked right, falafel are crunchy on the outside but tender and steamy inside. You can stuff any number of toppings into the pita with the falafel: sweet tomatoes, cool cucumbers, crispy lettuce, any number of sauces. Here's my version. You'll need soaked chickpeas, scallions, herbs, garlic, cumin, salt, and baking soda. Before we get started on the recipe, here's a quick note on the chickpeas. You want to start with dried chickpeas and soak them overnight. Don't use canned chickpeas. Soaking the chickpeas is really just that simple. Weigh out 230 grams of dried chickpeas and add them to a large bowl. Then cover them with several inches of water and let them sit overnight. I weighed these after draining them, and they had about doubled in mass to 463 grams. Now onto the recipe. Start by chopping your aromatics. Trim the scallions and cut them into large chunks. Cut your herbs into 2 to 4 inch lengths. My ingredients list just calls for herbs. You can really use whatever you like. A simple, reliable set of herbs is 1 bunch of cilantro and 1 bunch of parsley. My herb garden needed to be harvested, so I used 1 bunch of cilantro from the store, then a roughly equal amount made up of parsley, dill, mint, and even some Thai basil. Making the falafel dough is as easy as combining it all in a food processor until it forms a grainy mass that sticks together loosely. Sort of like an edible phloem. Do you remember phloem? I don't know, I'm a 90s kid. Add all your ingredients to the food processor and run it a few seconds at a time. Scrape down the sides and pulse it again. Once you can form a rough ball with the ingredients, your falafel dough is ready. Transfer it to a bowl and set it aside as you get ready to cook. Falafel need to be fried. I prefer to deep fry them, but you can shallow fry them if you flip them halfway through cooking. Add your frying oil to a large Dutch oven. Turn the heat on high and let the oil heat up to between 350 and 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Use a thermometer to get an accurate read of your oil's temperature. I just check mine occasionally with an instant read thermometer, but you can use a candy thermometer. To form the falafel, use a disher. Sometimes it's called an ice cream scoop or a cookie scoop. Fill the scoop, pressing it against the side of the bowl to compact the dough, and drop the falafel right into the oil. This disher is 1 1/4 ounces in size. It's just right for falafel. Much bigger and the crust would burn. Much smaller and the insides would overcook. There's a link in the show notes to this model that I quite like. It's not an affiliate link, just me sharing the equipment I use. This recipe, with this scoop, makes 16 falafel. Cook them in 2 batches of 8. Leave the falafel undisturbed until they just begin to brown. Then gently nudge them with tongs or chopsticks. They should release from the bottom of the pan without falling apart at this point. The falafel will start to float as they cook. Watch for a deep dark brown, but remove them before they burn and turn black. This brown is the key to good falafel flavor. The perfect falafel is a rich, dark brown on the outside and a soft, pillowy, steamy green inside. These falafel took exactly 3 minutes to cook. Your time may vary depending on your stove, how much oil you use, the size and temperature of your falafel mix, etc. But, generally speaking, once they float, they'll be close to done. Just make sure they don't burn. Remove them with tongs or a spider to a wire rack. Sprinkle a bit of kosher salt on top, and go make your sandwich. A falafel pita sandwich is going to need a sauce. Many places use tahini, but I like to use hummus. Just like with the jambalaya sandwich, it's easy to make hummus at home with just a few ingredients. Add 1 15-ounce can of chickpeas, drained, to the bowl of a food processor. Then add 1 clove of garlic, 60 ml of lemon juice, 60 ml of tahini, and a pinch of salt. Put the cover on the food processor and turn it on. Slowly drizzle in 120 ml of olive oil. Let it process until smooth, scraping down the sides as necessary. If your hummus is thicker than you like, slowly drizzle in a few tablespoons of water until it reaches the desired consistency. I like my hummus thick and smooth. Transfer it to a bowl, cover it, and let it sit in the fridge at least 30 minutes before serving. I have the worst plastic wrap. It won't even stick to itself, so I have to use a rubber band to keep the bowl covered. Pita need to be served warm. Wrap them in tinfoil and bake them in a 400-degree oven for 7 minutes. One of my favorite condiments from Persian cuisine is sumac onions. I haven't been able to find the proper name for this, so if you know it, please let me know in the comments. It's sort of a quick pickle. To make it, Mix some finely sliced or minced onions with sumac berries, lemon juice, and a pinch of salt. Give it a quick stir and set aside at room temperature. I like tomatoes on my sandwich. Thin, half-moon slices are my preferred cut for them. Cut the tomato in half, pull the pole, trim off the stem end, and slice thinly. Tomatoes should always be seasoned, so give them a pinch of salt and a few grinds of black pepper. Pickles are extremely common in Levantine cuisine. Here, I cut up a couple of baby dill pickles. You can use whatever kind of pickle you like. Lastly, the leafy bits of some romaine leaves get chopped up. I don't want to shred it, but it needs to be small enough to be stuffed into a pita. With all the fixings prepped, it's time to get your sandwich on. Keep in mind, these are just the toppings that I like. Find what works for you and go wild. Anyway, trim off the top quarter or so of your pita to open up the pocket. Smear some hummus along the walls. This will help hold everything in place. Next, in goes a few falafel, a few seasoned tomato slices, some pickles, the sumac onions, and lastly, tuck some lettuce in there. Position the sandwich for the camera and strike a heroic pose. This really is one of the greatest street foods of all time. Good, fresh pita will be soft and pillowy. The falafel should still be plenty hot and release steam when you bite into them, freeing the flavors of all those herbs. The mint did something really surprising and delicious here. It's going to be worked into all of my future falafel. The dill is subdued but noticeable when you look for it. The scallions and garlic give it just a tiny bit of sharpness that contrasts nicely with the earthiness of the chickpeas. There's something unique about fried chickpeas. It's completely unlike any other taste. It's delicious, but impossible to describe. You need to have it to understand it. Then there are all the fixings. Hummus holds everything together and provides a nutty creaminess. The tomatoes are cool, sweet, and peppery, which plays well against the sour crunch of the pickles and the sour, savory, sharp zings of the sumac onions. The lettuce is crisp and green, bringing a fresh component that is essential. I love falafel, and I hope you make them at home. I'll see you next time.